Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. If you're new to my channel, my name is Megan and I'm very glad that you decided to stop by. What we're going to do is walk around the entire garden. Now, I have been working really hard this last month and a half to plant everything, and I finally have pretty much almost everything planted, and I cannot wait to share with you all. So let's get started. Now, real quick, before we start walking around the garden, I do want to encourage those that may be feeling overwhelmed in their garden, because I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed this last month, and I just had to keep telling myself to take one day at a time, one step at a time, and one plant at a time, 1 hour at a time, a couple of minutes at a time. And I just want to encourage you to just take a deep breath, relax, and do what you can when you can, and you will get there. Now we are going to start on the driveway garden. I don't put too much time on this because I do a separate video on GREENSTALK garden tours as well as harvest, but there are a few things down here that I do want to share with you all. But first, let me get my basket because we are going to harvest. I got my I call them scissors, but I know that they're pruners. Okay, so there's not a whole lot to show. Now these are my potatoes in the green stalks, and they're almost ready. I want to say I'm probably going to harvest these as well as the bagged potatoes probably near the end of June. Just because I'm going based off the greenery. Now I know that they have their flowers, but I've been plucking the flowers off so that it doesn't tell the plant to stop producing potatoes. So I'm pretty much going to go based off of the greenery and just everything kind of like, you know, going over. So I'm probably going to do this the end of June. But here's what I wanted to show you. So I wanted to show you some of the bags. You can see, look at the zinnias are just so pretty. These pink zinnias are gorgeous. So these bags, this one and this one, and there's a few over there I'll show you, is still the leeks with zinnia. We have dill. Some of them have arugula. I am going to come in here and kind of clean up the arugula, but for the most part, these are going to stay just the way that they are, because leeks, I want to say I harvested mine towards the end of June, so they do have some time. And then the ginger, you guys, the ginger and the turmeric is doing so good. Look at how beautiful they are. I really do think that ginger and turmeric do really well in grow bags. Now I'm sure they do very well in a raised bed or in the ground, but for me, I've just had tremendous success with the grow bags, which is why I keep doing. I want to say this is my second year growing them because they did really well last year. The rest of these bags is what I want to talk about before we go in the backyard. Now we are going to harvest a couple of snap peas because I do have a few snap peas that are doing very well, but I wanted to walk over here and show you these because I just planted some seed last night. So as I said before, this is a lot of zinnia, dill, and leeks. This one, and that one, and they're doing really good, and I'm not going to touch those because they're still growing. But last night with these trellises, and I just put up a video not long ago on how to put these trellises in the grow bags. These have been one of my favorite ways to grow vertically in the grow bags while leaving space down here for other plants to grow. This has been one of my favorite trellises. Now I do use like little teepee type bamboo sticks where I'll tie them, and I love those too, but I have really enjoyed these a lot. So this one, I planted bushing cucumbers from Seed Savers. I want to say there was about 7 in here. And then I do have these little onions that were in here previously with the snap peas. These are the Pompeii onions, and then there's some crystal wax. Now these are smaller onions, which is why I put them in here. And then I have a volunteer Tulsi Holy basil, which I'm not going to touch because I love that basil. And then this one, I still had a couple of onions that were still growing, and I put bushing pickling cucumbers in here. And then this one over here as well. You can see the onions are a little bit more established over here. I'm not going to harvest those yet though. This one I put the patio snacker cucumber, and they're bushing as well, so they're not supposed to get super tall. Now they do vine, but they don't get, you know, really viney like most cucumber plants, which is why I put them in this bag with this trellis. And in my experience, the reason I put bushing cucumbers in these bags with the trellises is for the reason that they did very well last year. Now I didn't have as much of a harvest as I was hoping, so I'm going to try them again this year, and I think that's because I had a lot of bug pressure last year, so I'm hoping this year will be better. And then these green bags, actually I have to clean this up a little bit, but these still have my sugar snap peas. I want to say these are sugar snap peas. And so these are doing really good. I'm just going to leave them the way they are because I had to take my snapping peas out of these 3 trellises, which I was really sad about because they had some mildew on them, like it's like a pink powdery, not pink, I'm sorry, white powdery mildew, and I had to take them out. So far this is still looking good. And so far these are looking good, so I'm not going to pull those out, but I was sad that I had to pull those out. And then I also had to pull the ones out in the backyard garden because I had to make sure that I had room for all the cucumbers and stuff to grow. Now before we start picking the green beans, look at how massive this onion has gotten in the GreenStalk. I cannot wait to harvest this with you guys during the GreenStalk garden tour. Now I am actually, there is one onion we're going to grab because for some reason the roots stopped. I don't know what happened here. I came over here the other day and it was kind of loose, so we're going to actually harvest this together. But I'm very impressed with these onions in the GreenStalk. I already harvested these 2 and I've already diced and put them in the freezer, some for fresh eating, but I have, I want to say about 2.5 gallons worth of onions that I chopped up and froze just from these 2 GreenStalks. All right, let's go ahead and grab some snap peas. Now I will say my 2 favorite varieties this year was the Oregon Giant and the Amish snapping pea. They were absolutely delicious, and I will be growing those again. Those are going to be on my favorites of snap peas to grow. Now, one thing I do want to show you before we go in the backyard, I made this GreenStalk. This is kind of my seasonal GreenStalk, this one, as well as this one. The rest are designated for like garlic, onions, sweet potatoes, perennials, strawberries. But I got these trellises from GreenStalk. I love these trellises, and I noticed that some of my tomato plants were kind of leaning over, and if you don't catch these, they just will continue to lean and then grow as they're, like you can see right here, if it starts to lean, it'll just keep growing out that way. And so I wanted to put this trellis in with you guys because I think these were absolutely genius of GreenStalk. I couldn't hold the camera and do it at the same time, but hopefully you can see this. You see how it nestled in here and how the tomato plant is now just resting on this trellis, so it's giving it extra support. I absolutely love these. I'm so glad that they came out with them, and I plan to use them throughout my garden. By the way, I did want to give you all an update. We are finally getting some blueberries that are ripening. And actually I'm going to pick these because I actually think that we are getting some birds that realize that we have blueberries because they didn't really touch them last year. But I'm just noticing a couple of these like right there. I don't know if you can see that one. It's kind of, hold on, I'm going to put my blueberries down. I don't know if you can see that one right there. It looks like it was plucked and eaten. So I'm not really sure if the birds are getting to it, but I do know that we need to stay on top of them. But I'm really happy, you guys, that we're getting some blueberries that are ripening, because it seemed like forever they were just staying kind of that beautiful pinkish white shade. Now these are the powder. These are powder blueberries right here, and these are called the Prince blueberries. I'm gonna have to rewrite them on the cards. But both of them are wonderful, and this is our 3rd year of having them in the grow bags. I almost forgot, friends. I do want to keep you updated on these dwarf apple trees that I put next to my garage. So far, they're doing really well. I'm already starting to see a lot of leaves and some flowers. No apples yet. I think that's going to take a while, but I think it's worth showing you the progress of these because it's such a great way to add another beautiful plant while growing some wonderful fruit right by your garage or your door or even in your garden. And so I just wanted to show you the progress of these. All right, friends, well, we are officially in the backyard garden and I'm going to start on this side. I've been starting on the other side the last couple of videos, but we're just going to start here and just work our way through. There's so much I want to share with you all, so I'm going to try to condense as much as I can. So far, this is one of our new trellises that we had just put up not long ago, and it is strictly for these grapes, which, look at that. There's a lovely bug on there, and you know what? I don't know what that bug is, which means I don't know if it's a friend or foe. But we're gonna leave it alone for now. It kind of looks like a cockroach. Anyways, so far the grape plants are looking really good, and you guys, you may hear some thunder in the background. A little strange and weird because the sun is kind of peeking through and everything seems fine, but I hear some thundering in the background. But so far, you guys, it's looking really good. My hope is to, you know, grow a few grapes here that we can come and pick. Of course, I'm probably going to need to get some of those mesh bags to cover the grapes just in case the birds want to eat them. The other thing too is a lot of my flowers that are on the corners of my garden are all growing very beautifully. I have such a mix of peonies, dahlias, sunflowers. I did throw some black Russian sunflowers in here. That is actually a flower mix called Save the Bees from Botanical Interest. So I did that actually in a couple of pots just to kind of do a mix of stuff. And these right here have been making me really happy, although my best friends came back, the Japanese beetles, and they sure making themselves right at home on my plants, because you can see, look at what they do to your leaves when they eat them. So they came back and they must have missed me. Anyways, so far everything's going really good here. The dahlias are growing beautifully. The zinnias, my snapdragons are just making me smile and so happy. Look at how beautiful these are. They're very stunning. The color is so vibrant. I think that putting them in here with these plant supports was a great idea. It's giving it just enough support and it's just spilling over beautifully and not falling over, and it just makes me so happy. And then over here are all of the peppers. So far they're doing really good. I have cosmos as companion plants right here in the corners. This right here does not belong in here. So this straw, while I love it, it does get like little seed, you know, seeds. And so you'll get this once in a while. It's not a make or break for me. It's not really that bad. It's not like they pop up everywhere. And typically when you pull them out, they don't come back. So far so good. And wow, we have a lot of peppers already. I just noticed that. So that's exciting. I'm not going to harvest those yet. I don't think they're ripe yet. So we're going to hold off on that. But I'm really liking everything so far. Everything's growing really good. Now, if you're new here, I do put 2 pepper plants per square because last year they did really good, and they're just a great support system for one another. So that's what I did again this year. And the same with this pepper bed. I did the same exact thing where I put 2 peppers per square with cosmos in the corners. And then I do have alyssum at the ends, although this one looks like it did not germinate, although I think this side is germinating just fine. I'm gonna have to add some more seeds. And then I also did some more peppers over here. So this is my little palette of peppers that I have here. These are doing really good. I planted these later than these 2 beds of peppers, but I'm liking what I see. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And so this is my peppers. And then I do have a couple of like medicinal herbs and just some herbs over here. So I have mullein, ashwagandha, St. John's wort, I have chamomile, and then this is all of my lemon balm. And this keeps coming back every year. This makes me so happy. I've also have a lot of volunteer lemon balm. So we have lemon balm right here. And this one has really surprised me, but look at this lemon balm right next to my kale. It's doing really, really good. And so if it keeps growing this way, I'm gonna have to start harvesting, and then I don't know, I'm just gonna leave it there because I love the fact that it's growing. I think because of the moisture and the just from this bag getting watered and the rain, it's why it's growing so well over here. Because I noticed a lot of times in my garden that a lot of the volunteers are coming from underneath the bag, and they do very well there. So I'm assuming it's because of the moisture and the constant it being rained on or watered, and it's getting watered that way. Now, since we're over here, I am so pleasantly surprised at how well this kale is growing. And I know I need to harvest, but you guys, it's too pretty to harvest almost. But I know I need to, because if I don't, the bugs are gonna get it. But look at how great they're doing in these grow bags. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna harvest a little bit of kale real quick. Now for the wood bed. So I finally took everything out of both wood beds. I took all of the snap peas out. So all we're left with is onions and a few shallots and the cucumbers along the trellis here. But what I did do since the last tour is I planted green beans in every single square with the onions still growing because they're not quite ready to be harvested yet. And I came out here today and look at, they're already germinating. And I am super excited because I planted a lot of different varieties, some of my favorites and some new varieties, and I can't wait to share these with you guys and harvest them with you. And the cucumbers are doing amazing. Look at how much they've grown since just the last tour. So a lot of the ones that I really like to grow every year are ones like Royal Burgundy, Gold Rush, Maxabelle, Contender, Jade, but I do have some new varieties like Red Swan Bush, Sonesta, Nautica, Opera Bush. So these are all bushing green beans. In these beds, and I did this last year, I did nothing but bushing green beans. I do my vining green beans on that trellis over there, and then I do all of my bushing green beans in here so that it's easier for me to harvest while the cucumbers grow up the trellis. It worked out really well last year, and I'm hoping it'll do the same. I also wanted to share with you the sunflowers, so I put one here on the edge as well as that one right there, and my hope is for it to climb up this post. And then I'm going to support it with string just because sunflowers get really tall and huge. And last year over there, I had support, but I was using bamboo stick, and I'm trying to use things that I already have in the garden, like these posts or some of this rebar. That's my hope anyways, without having to use the bamboo sticks, but they're growing very beautifully. And then I'll just show you the cucumbers along the trellis. Everything has germinated. I think there might have been one that I had to reseed, and I have a bunch of different varieties of cucumbers as well. And then when we go over to that trellis, I'll show you, I also planted a few more. So these are a little bit stunted, and I think it's because I left the snapping peas in there that it stunted them just a little bit. Not a big deal, but I think that's what happened. But so far, you guys, everything is growing really nice. I cannot wait to harvest cucumbers with you guys. And there's my lemongrass. Look at how large it's gotten. Remember when it was just teeny tiny? Look at how big this has gotten. It's beautiful. And then this is another volunteer cucumber plant, and I'm gonna let it just grow and do its thing, because so far it's looking really good, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. So I'll have to keep you updated on this one as well. Now, this looks a little crazy because a lot of these are shallots. I'm not ready to harvest these yet, and I don't think they're 100% ready to harvest. I will be soon. Sorry, there was a mosquito on my arm and I had to flick it off. Okay. So with that being said, over here is also the green beans. Now, I don't see any germinating, but I also planted these the day after those, so they'll probably be popping up here in just a day or two. All right, now there is a lot going on here, and I'm going to try my hardest to condense it because then the tour will be really long. So I finally harvested the carrots, you guys. I'm going to insert a clip of me harvesting because whenever I harvest something and I'm sharing, like let's say I need to harvest something during the week and it's not time for my garden tour, but I've been sharing it with you guys, I'm going to try to insert a clip every time I harvest something that I've been sharing, because I think it's really important for you all to see as you're walking through the garden with me every week. I think it's important to share. So this was my last bed of tomatoes, and I want to say these, okay, so these are more like larger sandwich type tomatoes that I planted, and I put a basil with each tomato plant. The only thing I have to do in here is put some staking, like some bamboo sticks in here for support, and I need to do that quick because I don't want the roots to get established. Now over here is my Martina Romas, and then over there is my San Marzanos, and they are growing so lovely. I actually need to come in here and I need to prune a little bit, and I also need to clip up this next part of the tomato plant. Now I do need to prune because I'm noticing some like spotting on the leaves. I'm not happy about that. So I am gonna have to get in here. Now I typically prune too much sometimes, so I'm trying not to, but I also have to be really careful because I know down here in Alabama there's a lot of humidity, and so these tomato plants need to breathe. So I do need to clean that up. The mammoth basil is doing really lovely. I do have a little bit of basil left to plant. I don't know where, but I'll find a home for it. And then you guys remember the onions that I told you I was just gonna stick in here because I didn't have anywhere else to put them and they were still doing good? They're growing and they're doing really well. So far so good. And if I get some onions, this is probably something I may do every summer. And then just like over in the other bed, I did plant sunflowers on the corners of each rebar right here, and so far they're growing really nice, and I'm very happy to see that. And then you can see I got rid of all the snapping peas because these Kentucky Wonder green beans are growing. You probably can't, I don't know if you can see it all the way up here, but it's already reached the middle of the trellis up there, so I had to pull the snapping peas. But thankfully I have a few still on the driveway. But everything's grown fast. I feel like it's growing fast and it's growing quick. And then here is the other bed. So I will say this bed made me more sad than the carrots, because the carrots, I feel like they were ready to be taken out. They were a little smaller or shorter than I wanted them to be, but it was time to take them out. However, this one had a lot of cauliflower. One was starting to head, if you remember the last video I showed you, but the way it was heading was not the right way, and I was wondering if it was because it's getting warmer and it's really not the season for cauliflower. So what I decided to do was just pluck everything out, even the kale plant that I was really sad that I had to take out. I took it out and I stuck my last little bit of paste tomatoes in here. So again, just like with this bed, the only thing I have to do is stick some bamboo sticks in here to support the tomato plants. Now these bags right here are all determinate Roma type tomato plants, and they're all doing really, really well. And the same thing with these. At this point, everything is pretty much planted back here. I just have to support and prune where I need to, and I'm really happy with everything. It's just looking so good. And I did want to give you an update on this one. So this is one of my volunteer tomato plants, and I think I shared this the last video. What I did was I tied some jute twine around the bottom, and then I twisted it, hopefully you can see, I twisted it around the plant, and then I twisted it around here. And then what I did was I put extra jute twine around here so that as it grew, I can keep twisting it around and clip it on here. Now, if this gives me tomatoes, which you can see there's some flowers right there, I am going to be so excited because this is growing right out of the ground. That right there excites me a ton. These bags are new in my garden. I decided to put them here because you can see how this all gets really wet and muddy from all the rain, and it's because of the way this land is. You can see it just kind of slopes down, and that's really how a lot of the backyard is here. So there's certain spots that get really muddy and really watery, and this one becomes just a a hot mess. I kind of would have loved for this stoop to go out a little further, but it is what it is. And so I figured, well, let me try putting these bags here to see if it would help. In the meantime, I had planted some tomatoes and a lot of basil in these bags, and so far they're doing really good. Now I just made a video using this bag. This was the bag I used to show how I put the trellis in, and so far so good. So these two are tomatoes with basil, and then this one is all peppers. So I kind of stuffed a lot of these plants in with each other just to experiment and see how they do. So we're gonna see how they grow. And then this one is just a bushing green bean. My newest addition, you guys, and I couldn't be more excited, is this GREENSTAK. Now I wanted the 3-tier, something small, simple, and easy, and it is right here by the stairs. And you guys, I finally got the spinner. I'm so excited. I love it, and I don't know why I took forever to get it, but it is one of my favorite things now with having the GREENSTAKs is the spinner, so it rolls and it spins. Now I don't know what to plant in here. I'm probably gonna put some of that basil in here, especially the Tulsi basil, because I can come right here, snip some off and make some tea. But if you guys have any suggestions, I know I still have tomato plants, but I think I'm gonna stop planting the tomatoes because I have so many already. But if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments below. I'm thinking bush green beans, some basil, maybe some flowers. I'm not really sure. Let me know what you think. And then while we're right here, this is another bed of tomatoes. I actually just clipped these last night real quick. I might need to prune a little bit, but they're doing really well. And I want to say these are snacking tomatoes. So I did a lot of snacking tomatoes and paste tomatoes this year. So some beds are paste tomatoes and some are sandwich slicing tomatoes. But so far it's looking beautiful. Now I'm going to be coming over here frequently to show you this new trellising system that I put together. But since the last tour, I did move my asparagus over here as well as my elderberry tree. Now, my asparagus does really well in the grow bags. It was getting really wild and crazy, so I put it over here more towards the woods. And I'm kind of hoping that if any of the seed falls into the ground, maybe some asparagus will start growing in the ground. When it comes to the elderberry tree, I would prefer to have this in the ground, but because I was a new gardener and I wanted to try growing it in a grow bag, it's in a grow bag right now. So I may put it in the ground. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing with it, but I had to make room for another GREENSTAK, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And I just stuck it over here. Now I have gotten elderberries from this, but obviously not nearly enough. So I'm not really sure what I will be doing with this. I'm going to probably keep it here for now. And I may end up planting it in the ground. I'm just not really sure, but I wanted to show you that I moved that over here. Now with this trellis, you guys, I'm very pleased so far. So this whole entire trellis is all cherry tomatoes. Now I have added some bags in the back, and then I have these bags here, and everything is growing really lovely. You can see that we're already getting flowers. So it's just gonna be a matter of time before I get some tomatoes, and it's just growing really good. I think this is going to be where I grow my cherry tomatoes from now on, because last year I had them in a grow bag with like my bamboo and my bamboo sticks as well as my tomato cages. And they just got really messy, you guys. I didn't like how it was. And so that's why I came up with this trellising system, and I bought it off Amazon. I had the idea of reinforcing it and growing some. So hopefully in the next week or so, we will be harvesting cherry tomatoes. And then here's what the backside looks like. So I have grow bags along the whole bottom area, and it's going really good. I did want to point out that I had a lot of calendula starts left over, and so I stuck them in these pots. So I'm hoping that I'll just have a bunch of beautiful calendulas growing over here alongside the dahlias and the zinnias and some of the snap peas. And then over here, I kind of redid some things. So unfortunately, most of my overwinter pepper plants did not make it. I actually think I have a pepper for us to harvest today. So what I did was I took the bags that had the overwinter pepper plants, which are those, and that one back there over by the other bags, and I planted bushing green beans. One is already starting to sprout in there, I can see it. And I just kind of put them going up this little path right here is what I did. So I have cantaloupe and bushing green beans. So far the cantaloupe is doing really good. I'm very happy to see that. I haven't grown cantaloupe yet, but the plants are looking really healthy. So let's hope we get some cantaloupe this year. I'm really trying to make sure I show every part of the garden because everything is pretty much planted and I want to make sure I'm showing everything. So this bed did get planted a couple weeks ago. I pulled the garlic out of here and so far all of these tomato plants are doing really, really well. And then all of these back here with the pallets of tomatoes are all doing very well too with the tomatoes and basil. Now I do have to come over here and prune and clip. So that's pretty much all I have to do is just kind of keep an eye on everything and prune and clip so that I'm making sure that they have support. And the watermelon is doing really good. I'm very happy to see this. Each one finally germinated. And you know what? It's fine if one is growing more than the other because that way maybe I can just get my watermelon, not all at one time, but one every week or every couple of weeks. I've had a hard time growing watermelon, so I'm hoping this year we can finally get a nice sized watermelon. Now all of these bags that you see that are propped up with rocks, all of these too have tomatoes and I've just been pruning and clipping them and everything is going so well back here. So hopefully, like I said, we're going to be harvesting a lot of tomatoes. My goal this year is to grow as many paste tomatoes as possible to make sauces, tomato sauce, pizza sauce, spaghetti sauce, salsa. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get a lot of tomatoes. Here is my one overwinter pepper plant that survived. And this one, you guys, is my, what is the name of this one? Why am I forgetting? Poblano, there you go. So this one is definitely ready to harvest. So we are going to harvest our first pepper together. I'm very excited. This is why I love overwintering pepper plants because last year they were the first pepper plants that I harvested. Even some of my tomatoes, the other ones are not quite ready. Even my tomatoes, I overwintered a tomato plant and they were the first ones that gave me tomatoes. So that's why I like doing them. I will overwinter this one again and I may try one or two other pepper plants over the winter that I grew this year. We'll see. These are doing really good. All of these pallets, you guys, are one of my new favorite things in the garden. So this whole back section is kind of a new addition to my garden. I'd been adding this maybe in the last year and a half, give or take. And here's what I noticed because of the layout of everything. So obviously over here gets a whole lot more sun. This does get sun, but it's also shaded a little bit more. So a lot of my spring crops are still growing. Like you can see, look at the lettuce. Look at how beautiful that still looks. And we're in June now and it's hot. Like I'm over here melting. My shirt is like, I'm melting. I'm super hot. So you can see though, look at how beautiful the lettuce is doing. So this is probably one of my new favorite things is growing back here just because of what I am able to grow and it's just worked out very well for me. Now something that is new for me that I want to share with you is borage and I'm super excited to show this flower to you. Look at how beautiful that flower is. Isn't that pretty? So this is one of my new favorites is borage. Very, very happy to see that. In fact, let's go ahead and we're going to harvest this little beautiful flower. Very pretty. If I can zoom in on it. So back here is doing really great. I have been harvesting a little bit at a time just because there's a lot of food back here, which I'm really happy to see. Now, as I have been harvesting, I have been adding squashes. You can see one is already growing. I did add 2 pumpkins back there to 2 of the bags, but the ones that I've had to pull out because they were just done, I'm just sticking squash in here and there. I'm still letting that Napa cabbage grow, you guys. We're gonna see what happens. I don't need to pluck them out. They're getting bitten, but they're not completely dead, so we'll see what happens with those. But I am letting some of the lettuce is still growing. It's still doing really good, so I'm gonna let it stay there. We've been having salad at least once a week, which has been really nice. I mean, just look at how beautiful. Now, I will say some of the varieties that I planted, are heat tolerant. For instance, I think this one is the, let me see. Oh, this is a gourmet blend. No, I want to say that this might have been something else. Well, either way, I am growing some heat tolerant, and I'm wondering if that is also helping. There's Nevada lettuce, and I forgot the other names of them, but they're doing really good. Now, this is my red sail lettuce. Red sails is by far, besides the romaine, is my favorite lettuce. Hands down, this lettuce not only lasts very well in the fridge, but it grows so good. Now this looks like the gourmet blend to me, but either way, everything's going really good, and we're gonna leave it just the way that it is. I don't need to harvest these. These are the Italian dandelions. I'm really liking these. This gives a great pop of color in your salad. It's very pretty. So those are the 2 pumpkins. I am seeing that one starting to germinate. And then, I see, sorry, it's getting out of focus. And then a lot of these are just some squashes that I've been planting. Now, before it gets completely dark on me, these are the last 2 pallets that I have to harvest, and I may harvest them after this video, and I'll show you the final harvest later because it is getting to the point where my camera is going in and out of focus, but I want to quickly wrap up by showing you what I have harvested, and then this whole trellis system that my husband built. I just want to show you what I planted in them real quick. So over here, I did end up harvesting a lot of the Swiss chard, and look at how much more Swiss chard, little baby Swiss chard is growing. This is why I've really enjoyed this back part, because everything is just growing really, really well back here, and I'm just very impressed. There's the calendula, it's so beautiful. And then this is the other mullein plant. I harvested a lot of it. You can see it's just kind of like has nothing here, but I did harvest. Now I freeze dry the leaves and then I keep them in a jar. So I've harvested a lot of that. And so now those 2 will be the next that I harvest. So this is what I wanted to share with you, what I planted in all of these buckets. So very quickly, and all of the tomatoes that are planted over here and here are all determinate, just because they're already elevated. To have a indeterminate would just be, it would be too messy and too crazy. So I have determinate tomatoes here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then most of these are my jicama, which is I call it a summer root crop. It is one of the easiest things that I grow. Now, some of them look like they didn't make it, and I might just replant them, which is not a big deal at all. Some of them are doing fabulous. And then the rest of these are all tomatoes right here. And then I decided to squeeze in a few grow bags of cucumbers to grow on this side of the trellis. And then on this half of the trellis, I have the gourd, which you guys look at how tall it's gotten. It's already on the other side of the trellis. So I've never grown this before, and I'm super excited to see how that turns out. And then these 4 buckets are loofahs. I've never grown loofah before, but I'm excited to try them. And then let's go to the other side, and then I will show this to you in just a second before we end the video. So all of these are tomatoes. I did add some dwarf basil on the tiny Tims. So these are tiny Tims, and then the rest are other different bushing varieties. And the idea here was to be able to harvest smaller tomatoes because this is so elevated. That's why I put them here. And then these right here are the loofahs, so I'm really excited to be growing those as well. But overall, you guys, I'm really excited about this new trellising system. We did put some lights here, which I showed that to you before, and they're just, I'm super excited. Now, I did want to show this to you real quick. Look at the flower from the gourd. Isn't that beautiful? I'm really happy with this. Now, part of the reason I decided to try growing a gourd is because I have struggled growing squashes. And I know a gourd is not the same as a squash, but I figured if I can grow a gourd, maybe that'll be the route I take. I'm not gonna give up on squashes. Clearly, I planted some over there, but I do struggle growing squash. I don't know why, but I do. So we'll see what happens, but overall, you guys, I'm super excited about this new trellis system. And then last but not least, you guys, I got a yellow GREENSTALK. It is so beautiful. I'm so excited to have this. So this is where the elderberry tree is, which is why I partially put it over there, because I needed somewhere for this, and I thought it'd be perfect, like kind of in the middle of the garden, just give it a pop of sunshine color, because a lot of my garden's very neutral, and you know, black bags, white buckets, like a taupey, earthy, neutral beds, and I love that. Don't get me, I love the neutral look, but I do love a little pop of color. So I'm really excited to have this. And again, if you have any suggestions about what to plant in there, I was thinking bushing cucumbers or some flowers or some of the basil, let me know. I would love to hear your ideas. And the reason I don't have this put together, it's a little bit uneven on the ground, so my hubby's got to do something because I don't want it to fall over, but I'm super excited that I got this. All right, friends, well, it is getting dark on me, but let's go ahead and see what we harvested today. All right, so I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but we got ourselves some kale. We got that one onion, we got some blueberries, and our first poblano pepper. And I actually did see a tomato over there, and I forgot to harvest it with you. It was a small little teeny tomato, so I'll go grab that really quickly. But we got a couple of goodies. Now I am gonna harvest some of that palette, and when I do, I will show you what I harvested at the very end. Plus, we also got some snapping peas. I love my snapping peas. I kind of feel like my season's kind of short for snapping peas. Not too much, but it just seems to get hot here very quickly. I'm like melting right now, if you can tell. I'm like it is super hot and humid right now. But I'm really happy to still be getting snap peas. So overall, very happy with the harvest. So friends, thanks so much for stopping by. And I always look forward to walking through the garden with you every week and sharing my ups as well as my downs in my garden with you all. And remember, friends, and never forget this, I want you to be encouraged, and then I want you to stay encouraged, and then I want you to always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye. All right, friends, here is the final carrot harvest. I don't think they're that bad. Now, I will say, in my opinion, and I'll tell you each variety I planted in just a second, but I think, for one, I planted them a little bit later than I wanted to, which is why they're not longer, but I'm still not mad at this. I think this is pretty good considering all things. But I also feel like the ones that I planted in the fall that started to grow towards the very end of winter, beginning of spring, did way better. So I think I know what I'm going to be doing next year, but let me quickly tell you each variety I planted and my thoughts. All right, so the first variety we have is the Carnival Blend, and I actually do like the Carnival Blend. I think I will be doing this again next year. And then the next one is the Dollar Tree Red Cord Shanti or Chantel. I don't remember the full name, but I'm not mad at this either. I think this did overall pretty well. I would be willing to do this one again. The next one we have is Littlefinger. Now, obviously they're supposed to be smaller. I don't think they're supposed to be this small, but I probably may not do this again or just throw it in little spots that I just want to add a little something. So this one's not too bad. Now, Danvers 26, I actually really did like this one. This one was pretty good. And I want to say I've done Danvers before, and I am willing to try this variety again as well. And the next one is the Rhodeca Nantes, and I think this did pretty good as well. I don't really think that it was that. Now, I did get a lot more smaller ones than this one. It's probably not going to be like my favorite go-to, but I don't think it did overall that bad. Now, this one is a Fort Patriots. Oh, I don't have that one down here. This is a Fort Patriots Scarlet Nantes seeds, and they're small. But I may be willing to sprinkle some of these seeds somewhere, like I said, maybe not in my bed, but just off somewhere that I need a little spot to be filled, just so that the seed does not go to waste. Now, these last three are my favorites. They are F1s. but the first one is the Romance F1, and I thought these did really good. This is the first time I've ever grown Romance F1. I did end up buying more seeds because I really do like this and how it turned out. And then this other one is the Caravel, I want to say Caravel F1, and I think these did very well too. Now the Napoli F1, because these did so well in the bed weeks ago, I want to say maybe a couple months ago, these were the ones that did really well towards the end of winter, beginning of spring, which is why I planted a lot more of these. And again, I'm actually really happy considering all things. So this one I bought more of as well. I actually bought more of all three of these, but I am willing to try these ones again. So I just wanted to quickly show you, because whenever I am going to harvest anything in my garden that I have been sharing with you all, or I said, hey, I'm doing different varieties, I want to make sure, even if during the week I need to take them out of the bed for whatever reason and it's not time for my garden tour, I still want to take a little clip that I can insert in the garden tour so you can see the result of whatever it is that you've been, you know, watching on a weekly basis, seeing what I've been, you know, what I'm growing and what I'm harvesting. I want to make sure that I'm sharing all of these successes and failures with you all, because I think it's really important. So anyways, with all that being said, I'm really happy with the carrot harvest, you guys. And now it is time to finally plant the last 2 beds of tomatoes. I also want to mention that beautiful kale plant that was in that one bed, which was really hard for me to take down. This was the rest of the kale leaves that I harvested, and a little bit of the dill. Most everything, and there's something flying. Okay, maybe I'll put this in a blooper at the end because that was quite funny. I mean, it just went right in my face. And now he's on my raspberry plant. Sweet bee.